Hi, welcome to Secrets to a Great Dog. I'm Cindy Scott, professional trainer, behavior consultant, and author of the Zen Shen Enlightened Training for a Fabulous Dog. Over the past 25 years, I've worked with literally thousands of dogs and their owners, and what has surprised me most is that just by changing a few things makes a dynamic change in your dog's behavior. And the purpose of this video is to share those things with you. I want to get this information to as many dogs and owners as possible. Again, it's surprising how just changing just a couple things makes a lasting change in your dog's behavior. This is my son Harrison, by the way, and my dog Cooper when they were both little pups. That was taken, 14 years now, and they've changed quite a bit, but they're still best buds. And I think that's what it's all about. I want you to have a dog that's a true member of the family for life. So one of the biggest questions I get all the time, believe it or not, is how did I get started in this crazy business? And the truth is it really started back in July of 1989 when I lost one of the loves of my life, and that's my little black cockapoo Pepper. I could never have a dog as a child. As much as I loved them and wanted them and was obsessed with them, I could never have one. So when we moved from Minneapolis to Orange County, my dad, I guess, took pity on me and allowed me to get a dog. I was 13 years old, and of course we were inseparable. And so when I lost her, I was completely devastated, didn't know what to do, and was really angry because the basic training that we had done, the old school stuff, wasn't enough to save her life. And it didn't matter what sits or downs or comes or walking on leash she did. It didn't save her life. And that really, really motivated me to find some real world exercises that would keep a dog safe. And I was a college student at the time studying psychology. And so that's when I really learned about operant conditioning, classical conditioning, and at the same time was lucky enough to learn about some behaviors that were making the same leaps that I was of why aren't we using this operant conditioning to train dogs? Why are we still using choke chains? Why are we still punishing? Why are we still using fear and not positive reinforcement? So that's really how I got started and obsessed with training dogs. And this is a picture, by the way, of me and my little Pepper, both of us as pups. Speaking of pups, these are two of my human puppies that taught me some great lessons about training and most importantly about time management and to kind of cut the fluff and get to what's important. Also, they taught me how to integrate dogs into a family situation. Of course, when we started having human babies, that didn't mean that our canine and our feline babies weren't as important to us anymore. In fact, my mom calls my oldest son Alex, she calls him Mowgli because he was raised by wolves. And the picture on the right there, that's Alex with, I can't even talk about my other love of my life, Max. Was just a wonderful dog, and we call him the Nana dog because he took such good care of the boys as puppies when they were puppies. But it really taught me also the importance that dogs play with children and how having the dogs really taught my kids about compassion and empathy and to respect life, and it gave them confidence. And in fact, I always tell the story. I love that both of my kids, their first word was mama, for me, of course, and the second word was dada, and the third word both of them ever said was May May, and that's what they called Max. And it really makes a huge impact. So I love integrating kids into the training. I think every kid should have a dog and every dog should have a kid. But also, without going crazy, having a dog into the family. So my two human puppies taught me a lot, and they continue to teach me a lot. That's for sure. So let's get started. So what is the most important secret to a great dog? And the first one is start training early. The best time to train a dog is up to about 4.5 months. The older they get, the more difficult, the more challenging it is to learn something new. That 4.5 mark, before then, their brains are just sponges soaking up information. That's why puppy class is so important for every dog. Let's start early. And the socialization at an early age is so important, because the biggest thing with puppies is we have to prevent fear, and you become afraid of what you don't know. So if we can get them young and get them positively exposed to other dogs, other people, you're just setting your dog up for a great life. Unfortunately, fear leads to aggression, and that's the biggest thing I see with working with rescue dogs, is that literally 9 out of 10 of them have fear issues, simply because they weren't properly socialized as puppies. So take advantage of that time. Socialize, 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 but you have to make sure that it's positive. We don't want to overwhelm the puppies and scare them, because then you're definitely going to have fear issues. But not all puppy classes are the same, and not all socialization is the same. So it's really imperative that you make sure that the class that you're going to is taught by an experienced instructor that isn't going to inadvertently overwhelm your dog or put them in a situation that's potentially scary for them. So really, do your homework, make sure they're in a good spot and with somebody that you're comfortable with. Now, of course, you can't take your dog to a class until they've had all their vaccines. We got to keep them safe. But until they've had their vaccines, you can do some socialization at home. Have a puppy party. Invite your friends over. Give them, treats. Make a game out of it. Make it fun. And of course, the other reason to start early is because it is so much easier to prevent problems than to fix them. So why wait till your dog is jumping or chewing or digging or peeing in the wrong place? Teach them from the get-go where they're supposed to go, literally, and make it worth their while. So you're building those good habits while they're young, because again, it's so much easier to build the good habits than to stop the bad habits. So train early and train often. You'll be so glad that you did. It's like money in the bank. The other tip with puppies is to make sure that you take lots of pictures, because they literally grow every second, and doesn't matter how many you have, it's never enough. Okay, this is the big one. And if you get nothing else out of this, please keep in mind to only use positive training with your dog. Rewards are all you need to effectively train your dogs. I find it very concerning that over the past few years, the shock collars, the pincher collars, the choke chains are making a huge comeback. I saw a video from one trainer saying that he uses the shock collars and the pincher collars in the punishment fear-based training because he doesn't think that dog owners are smart enough to understand the complexities of positive reinforcement. And it just makes me think that maybe he doesn't understand the complexities of it. Also, I hear a lot of trainers saying that you shouldn't use food because it's bribing. And there is definitely a difference between bribing and positive reinforcement. And if your trainer doesn't know the difference, then they definitely can't tell you the difference. So I think you'd be crazy not to use food. It works. Why hit your head against a wall unless you have to? But we definitely work away from it. We definitely phase out the cues and everything else. But why work hard when you can work smart? So why use positive reinforcement? The biggest reason, it works. It's scientifically proven now. Classical conditioning, operant conditioning, it works. And just my own ethical personal philosophy is I don't want a dog to behave because they're afraid of me. I want them to behave because they want to. And personally, I just don't want to do anything to somebody else that I would not want them to do to me. And I definitely wouldn't want somebody put a pincher collar on me or a shock collar. So there's better ways to do it. There's funner ways to do it. It takes a little bit more effort in the beginning. It's not, you don't get the quick results, but you get longer lasting results. I have had many other trainers, especially those that do the boot camps and a lot of the board and trains. They've told me they don't care about the long-term results. They want the short term. They want that wow factor that they can give to their clients, and they don't really care how they get it. And that breaks my heart. I care about the long term. I want your dog to be that member of your family that is going to love and respect you, and you're going to love and respect for life. So positive reinforcement, positive reinforcement, positive reinforcement. I can't say it enough. And quite honestly, the easiest way to modify a behavior is to teach another behavior. If your dog is doing what you want, they're not doing what you don't want. So again, my personal philosophy, rather than focusing on the negative, I want to focus on the positive. Instead of, punishing your dog for jumping, let's get busy teaching him how to sit. He can't be sitting if he's jumping. So teach what you want. And what could be better than sitting politely? It's your dog's way of saying please and thank you. Okay, so the third secret is food. And this one we tend to take for granted, how food and nutrition plays a part in behavior and just overall good health. Your mom was right. You are what you eat. And let's make sure that what your dog eats is something that's really good for them. So what's good for them? I know nowadays, I think it's more difficult than ever to decipher the food labels and the different brands and what's good for your dog. With all the food recalls and dangerous things out there, you just don't know what to feed your dog. So a couple bits of advice that I can give you is there's raw food, there's home cooking, and there's a super premium dog food. So kind of figure out what's best for you. If you don't have time to cook, or you don't have the facilities or the budget for raw food, seek out a super premium dry food. A few things to keep in mind as you read those labels is that the first three ingredients are the most important because percentage-wise, that's what is going to be most included in the food. So the first should be a protein source. And it should specify what the protein source is, not just poultry, but chicken or turkey, not just fish, but salmon or trout. You want them to be as specific as possible. Now, you also want to look that your dog food doesn't have a lot of fillers in it, like corn, wheat, or soy. A lot of dogs are allergic to those grains and just can't process them. Also, the grains are susceptible to mold. A lot of times dogs are becoming sick because of the mold on food, not just the ingredients. Anything that you buy in a pet store or whatever store has preservatives and different things in it, but the longer that it sits on those store shelves, the more susceptible it is to cross-contamination and mold growth. Also, I think it's very important to be comfortable and confident with the brand that you choose. There's an efficacy within each brand of what they will and will not use with their ingredients. But one of the big problems right now is that dog food brands are being continually bought by larger brands. Right now, Mars owns most of the dog food brands. Colgate-Palmolive is buying them. Even Philip Morris is buying a lot of dog food brands. And of course, once the big companies buy out the little companies, the first thing they do is to change the ingredients. So be up to date, be aware of what's going on, read those labels, and find a brand that you can trust. This is Bosley enjoying a puptini at one of our events. It's tough being a dog trainer's dog, I guess. Number 4 is develop a good relationship with your veterinarian. I actually should have put develop a great relationship with your veterinarian. You and your vet are partners in your dog's health. Yearly checkups are so important to make sure that you're catching anything before it develops into something big. Vaccine clinics may save you some money in the short term, but you're not going to catch any long-term health issues. So really get to know your vet and take your dog in annually. Also, you may want to consider doing a titer instead of an annual booster vaccine. There's a lot of evidence suggesting that over-vaccinating your dog may cause some long-term challenges. So an alternative would be to do a blood titer where your vet can check your dog's blood and see if the antibodies are still present. And if they are, then they don't require another vaccination. But again, it's something to discuss with your veterinarian. Of course, every dog is an individual. Their medical needs are different, which is even more reason for your veterinarian to really get to know you and your dog for the long term. Okay, this one is a big one. I could do a whole video series just on this one. A tired dog is a happy owner. This is your mantra. A tired dog is a happy owner. 90% of behavior problems are due to boredom. Your dog gets naughty when he gets bored. So your job is to give him something to do, to stimulate him both mentally and physically. You can do sequences of commands, take him for long walks, fetch. Kong is fantastic. Stuff your Kong toy with food. It's like Xbox for your dog. Keep him busy, keep him busy. Remember, a dog that's busy chewing a Kong is not barking at your neighbors, chewing your shoes, or pulling on your pant leg trying to get you to pay attention to them. So keep them busy. Redirect that energy. Remember, teach what you want. Most behavior problems can be solved by simply giving your dog a stuffed Kong. Love the Kong. Now, we talked about this one a lot in step number 1, socializing your dog. But socialization doesn't stop with puppyhood. It continues for the life of your dog. Dogs go through different stages of development. So if you stop socializing them as puppies and then they get into adolescence or middle age, then fears can develop that weren't before. So get in the habit of taking your dog out. Take your dog to coffee, take your dog to lunch. You want your dog to be with you, so take him out, but bring a Kong. Okay, we touched on this one a little bit before, but it's important to be proactive and not reactive. Again, we want to teach what we want, not just respond to bad behavior, but really change the pattern. The best way to change any behavior is to change the pattern. So again, if your dog is jumping, teach sit. If your dog is chewing shoes, teach him to chew a Kong. If they're peeing on the carpet, teach them to pee outside. Teach what you want. Don't just wait for the bad behavior to happen and then go, okay, what do I do now? We want to do a preemptive strike so that the bad behavior never happens at all. Number 8 really hit home a few years ago. I'd been doing training for so long, and I'd been able to see puppies from puppyhood through all the different stages, adolescence, middle age, and then into seniors. And I saw, not only with my own dogs, but with everybody else's dogs, how they really go through these different stages of development. Just because your dog isn't doing a behavior now doesn't mean he may not develop it in the future. That's why it's so important for us dog owners to get in the habit of continuing the training. It's lifelong. Don't think that just because you go through a puppy class and everything is great, that you're good forever. If you slack off with your training, I guarantee you your dog will slack off with training. So keep it up for the rest of your dog's life, but keep it fun. That's why I like to do the socialization, continuing classes, joining a community of other dog lovers. It's a great way for us to socialize too, right? And just take your dog with you as much as you can. So the last secret I threw in here, I call it 8.5 because it's for small dogs. Dogs under about 15 pounds come with their own set of quote-unquote challenges. The biggest challenge being their size and the fact that it's so easy just to pick them up when they misbehave. If we pick them up when they misbehave, we of course run the risk of rewarding that behavior. Also, if they're always being carried around, they never really learn a lot of confidence, and we can inadvertently, again, be rewarding that fear. So, we want them to be confident. We want them to learn to stand on their own 4 feet, so to speak. So, I always encourage just little dog owners to do what I call the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, have their feet on the ground so that they learn to be a big, brave dog. So treat your little dog like a big dog. I know it's tough, but it's for the best. You will be so glad that you did. Trust me. Thank you so much for watching my Secrets to a Great Dog. I hope you and your dog will both benefit from these tips. If you have any questions or you'd like more information, please go to my website, myzendog.com. If you're ready to get started on a training program, give me a call, drop me an email, and let's get you guys started. So bye for now. Until next time, now go play with your dog.